Yep.
And that will ask you to confirm, I believe. And now we're going to head on over to Michelle. And first we'll go over and she's going to chat for a minute. And then we will, oh, bonjour from France. I get to do all of my horrible, not impressions, my, what do you call those? Accents. There we go today. Hello from the Netherlands. Oh my gosh, you guys are posing some difficult ones for me to do some accents. So we're going to head on over to Michelle and she's going to let us know what's going on. And then we'll head on over to our workspace once she's done having a little chat.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hello, ladies. You did. Thank you so much, Bridget. You're like a professional at that.
We have a gentleman too.
Thank you.
Oh, I can't see everyone. My apologies. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. There we go.
Sinead O'Connor.
Lovely. Sinead, you have done some beautiful, beautiful music.
All right. Well, thank you so very much, everybody, for joining us today. Everyone's kind of from all over. I'm in Switzerland, if anybody wasn't quite sure.
Oh.
And yeah, so I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to ask me before we started, introduction wise or anything? Or
be gentle with me.
Sorry.
Be gentle with me.
I will try my best.
If you have questions, just reach out. That's Michelle is here to
Absolutely,
answer your questions. So this,
Yeah.
yes, and she'll be very gentle. This is going to be fun. You guys are going to have the best day.
Absolutely. If I'm ever going too fast at any point, just please speak up and let me know, and I will try my best to not go so fast. All right. Is everybody ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. So these are the cards that we're going to be making today. So the theme is black and white with a pop of color. I went for kind of like an elegant, clean and simple kind of theme, but I also wanted to add just a little bit of color in there just to have it pop a bit. So this is what we have. So the three different techniques that we're going to be doing, we have die cutting for this one, but it's also going to be using both the positive and the negative die cut pieces. And then this one here is ink blending. Ink blending a rainbow using only 3 different colors, just to show you don't need to have every single color in the rainbow to actually make a rainbow. It's actually quite easy, just as long as you use colors that, what's the word I'm looking for? Not quite, I don't know.
Coordinate?
Yes, thank you, coordinate. And then this one here is spotlight coloring. So where you just take a certain part of your image and you just kind of make it pop and highlight it, or make it the spotlight of your card by adding some color to it. All right, so let's get started. First, we are going to do the die cutting one. So for the stamps oh my goodness. The stamp that we're using for this one is the Persian motifs. Oh my goodness, no, sorry. The exotic gardens we're using for this one. And we are also using the Mega Hello die for this as well. So for that, I'll put them off to the side there so I don't get mixed up. So I'm going to put the card just to the side. So for the first thing that you're going to do for this, you grab just a piece of your white cardstock, and I cut it the exact same size as the A2 card base, and the A2 card base measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's just your regular size. And my goodness, I lost my. Did I not have? Okay. Oh, I forgot to cut my paper down. I usually had all that, but I forgot to trim it down this time. So I have to actually cut a new piece. All right. So we're just going to cut it, or you can, yeah, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We are doing for this one. There we go. And I'll put the card to the side again there. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, you are going to want to stamp out your image. So for this, I usually always use my stamp positioner just in case I don't get a nice crisp impression the first time. I can just go back in and stamp the image again. So here's, I have some ink on here that doesn't want to come off very easily. I have to clean that one day. So I place the paper in there. And you want to align your image as much or center it as much as you can. Just kind of evenly on all four sides, just kind of eyeball it. If it's not perfect, then you know what? Don't worry about it. It's handmade and it doesn't need to be. And it will show that it was made with
Convent. No one is available. Please enter your mailbox number.
Oh.
Please enter your security code.
There we go. Try and get rid of that glare.
Please enter your security code.
All right.
Whoever is on their phone, if you could mute yourself while you're using your
You have
phone.
reached Our Lady of Angels Convent.
Okay.
Call at this time.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm looking to see who it is and it's not.
No worries. I think I have that. I think it's Tom. Oh
No.
no. Oh no, sorry. I'm just looking at the ones that don't have the,
Let's go
I'm
for the
just looking at the ones that don't have the unmute.
Now we know where we stand.
Oh, Tom.
I
Oh
saw-
my goodness.
No, yours is the first one that I saw that doesn't have the red unmute thing on it. I'm sorry, Tom. Oh, poor
Nice
Tom.
bunch.
Oh, where's my black ink?
You're in a wild group of crafters, Tom. Watch out.
Yeah.
It's wild in here.
Accusations are flying already.
That Tom. Oh, excuse the glare on the lid of my Misty there, guys. All right, so I have my stamp position in there and I have it picked up on it. So I'm just gonna go in with my jet black ink and just kind of ink it all up. I need a bigger ink pad, I think, because it takes forever to ink up the bigger images with this little cube. Okay. And so you just want to make sure that you go in and give some nice even pressure. Because even though I am using the stamp positioner, if I can get a nice, clean, crisp image on the first time, it'll be fantastic. All right, so I think I did. Perfect. All right, this is it's an absolutely gorgeous image. I love this. So yeah, so there we go. It's got the stamped image. I do normally clean my, well, no, I'll clean it off. Bad habits to get into. There we go. All right. We'll put that to the side. I'll just put my stamp back in the packaging just so I don't lose it. And so I try and stay somewhat organized. All right. All right, so back we go. And I'm actually going to keep that to the side handy because it is going to be used for one of our other cards. All right, so once you have your stamped image ready to go, you're going to take your hello die cut. Don't mind this, this is a little, got a little bit of ink on there, I think. And to do the die cut, you're just going to place the hello die just kind of just over top of the floral image. Again, just try and center it as much as you possibly can. And I kind of had it on, it kind of goes on like on an angle. So yeah, so I just make sure, kind of eyeball, make sure it is centered as much as I possibly can. And then I just take it, and you can put it down with a little bit of hold it down with a little bit of low tack tape just so it doesn't move from where you have it. I just use a washi tape that has lost a lot of its stick from being used over and over again, and it holds it down perfectly. It's just sticky enough to hold it, but not too sticky that it will tear the paper. Because that is the last thing that you want after you've done that, is to have it tear your image, your paper. All right. Now, once you remove the hello die from it, you want to make sure you hold on to every single little piece that it cuts out. Even the little, I call it the little innards of the loops of the L's and the H and the O. And just kind of remember which part it goes to, because you want to make sure that you are following the pattern, that you don't mix up the innard from the H on the loop on the H with the loop on the L, because then the floral pattern won't flow nicely and won't look like it is, yeah, like it should be. So just kind of poke it all out there. Whether it be with pokey tool, safety pin, whatever you got. All right, so there's my hello. So this little part here, I don't know if you can see that. That came from the E, so you just want to make sure that you don't lose it. All right, and this is, so I just kind of put it just in order above, just at the top of my work surface. There we go. Let me just make sure I have it right. So that's the H. Okay. Yeah. And then there's two parts on the O here. All right. So those are there. Again, make sure that you don't lose any of those, because you want to be able to place them back in to the letters where they originally came from. All right. The hello die off to the side. And as well, all of these off to the side here. So you have the three pieces there. We don't need them right now. So now the next part that we're going to do, take another piece of paper. It doesn't have to, I was going to say, it doesn't have to measure the 4 1/4 by 5.5, but you want it big enough to cover the entire hello, which is almost going to be the entire size. So grab another piece of cardstock, about 4 1/4 by 5.5. And this is what we are going to be using to add our pop of color. So what I did for this, I just did some ink blending behind it. And then we are going to cut that out again. So you can use whatever color you want to. But for this, I used the purple wine. So, and you don't have to have it perfectly ink blended, because it's just going to be kind of popping out from behind. It's okay if it's not perfect. Yeah. All right, so I got an ink blending brush, and I'm just going to start blending. Oh, I hope it doesn't shake the camera too much. So yeah, so I'm just not worrying about it. You can see how it's splotchy. I'm not too concerned about that, because it's not really going to be all that noticeable.
Is this one of your favorite techniques, ink blending?
I do actually quite enjoy ink blending. It's, yeah. I don't know how to describe it, but it's, yeah, ink blending, you don't have to, I find that you can always, you don't need to have coordinating colors of cardstock to go with your projects. You can just ink blend a bit of paper and with the color of ink that you're using, and then you'll always have coordinating paper that way with ink blending. Like I said, with the rainbow, you can achieve different color combinations with it that you wouldn't have had by blending different colors before together. Yeah, it's just, how would I describe it? I find it a bit relaxing as well. Just kind of just ink blending. Yeah, I really do quite enjoy it.
It's
I
fun 'cause
can't
there's
think of-
really no thought to it. You just kind of
There is not.
see
You
what
just
get.
take the ink on your brush or your ink blending tool and you just start blending on the paper and yeah, there is no thought to it. It's just easy peasy and yeah. It's relaxing and
Like you said,
Yeah.
cost effective because it really does. It gives you so many options. If you're like, oh, I don't have that colored piece of paper. Oh, yes, you do. If you have that ink cube, you do.
exactly. You will always have a perfectly coordinated project as long as you have that ink color, just blend it on the paper and yeah, it is very cost effective because really all you need is white cardstock and just your ink pad and that's it. So yeah, you don't have to worry about, yeah, it is, yeah, you don't have to worry about having 25 different colors of cardstock, especially if you're low on storage or anything in your craft area, craft room. Yeah, you just white cardstock and an ink pad and you're good to go. And one other thing I also did as well, if you don't want to ink blend, you can also just take your ink pad and just kind of swipe it across. Really easy, kind of quick way to ink blend, kind of ink blend as well. But for this, obviously you wouldn't ink blend a background like that and use it on a card. But if you're doing something like this, where you're just going to have that color peeking out from behind, either of these techniques work just as well. Because when I was coming up with the ideas for the cards, I did this the first time and you couldn't even tell the difference. You couldn't even really see where you first laid down, where I first put down the ink cube or anything. So yeah. All right, so once you have your ink blended piece, just go ahead and just die cut it again with your hello die. And with this, you don't have to worry about holding on to all of the inside, the smaller pieces like we have here, because we're not going to be using them, but you can if you want to. If you want to use it for another project or something, go right ahead. But you don't have to worry about holding on to the little tiny pieces in that. So just kind of cut that out. Okay. All right. There we go. So put that to the side. So again, you can actually just hold on to this whole ink blended background and use that for another piece, for another card if you wanted to. It's up to you. Again, just get all this out. There we go. And see, you can't even tell once it's die cut that it was a little bit splotchy. So if you're not the world's greatest ink blender, which I'll admit, I am not the world's greatest, but you can't even tell when you do this. So put that to the side. And so we have the 3 pieces now, or the 4 actually, the background, the die cut hello, the ink blended hello, and all the little innards or guts of the hello. Oh, I like that term better, the guts of the hello. That's what it'll be called. So is everyone doing all right? I'm not going too fast or anything.
Nope.
You did say to throw out all the guts of the purple hello, right?
Yeah, you don't have to hold
Don't
on to
need the
them.
chits? Okay. cool.
Exactly, yeah. No, just the initial stamped image one you want to hold on to. All right, so to put this together, what we are going to do, you want to, so on our card base, we are going to, oh no, we don't use a craft foam for this one. So you want to, oh, I only did top folding. So my card is going to kind of be opening from the side. So for this, you want to add your floral stamped piece directly to your card base. So just grab a little bit of glue or whatever you use and just adhere it directly to it. We are not going to be popping this one up with any craft foam or anything like I did for the other ones. So, and make sure that you get all behind the little bits so they're all stuck down really nice. So just get right in there. All right. Okay, so now just adhere it to your card base. Make sure that you get all of these. There we go. And just make sure you kind of don't, when you're gluing down the smaller parts of these little parts here, kind of move, make sure you don't move it out of place, that it is adhered exactly how it should be, or else the hello won't sit in there that nicely. So you want to make sure you have it all adhered exactly as it should be. No pieces are a little wonky or bent out of shape at all. So once you have that down there, next you want to take your hello, the ink dyed one, and we are going to adhere that in exactly into the die cut negative piece there, like that. So grab that piece, and you want to try not to, I kind of get a little heavy handed with the glue sometimes, but try to go a little light on glue, especially on these little, especially this part here, the little finer, thinner parts. You don't want, if you do get glue seeping out, it's not the end of the world, but you do want to make sure that you get every little part kind of stuck down, or else it'll pop up, because that's another little thing that I discovered when I first did that. So yeah, ask me how I know. All right, so a little bit glue. All right, and for this, when I have smaller, finer little parts, I use tweezers sometimes to kind of fit it in there, because then you have your hand free to kind of put it down, and yeah, and it helps to get it aligned nicely. So you just want to get it perfectly in that empty die cut space from the initial hello. Just make sure you get all evenly in there, whatnot. So now it all should kind of just lay all flat and flush. So you could technically just leave it at that, and I think it's great, but you would want to put these little pieces back in there as well. But you could just leave it as that, call it a day, and it's still a beautiful card. But we are going to gonna step it up a notch and add that over top.
What day was it?
So this is where you want to take.
Wednesday, 2nd.
All right, so this is where you want to take all of your smaller pieces, all the guts that you had, and put them back in their respective places. Because this is why you don't want to get it mixed up. Because if you had the inside of the L loop in the H, the floral pattern would not flow or would not go at all. So just take a little bit of glue and add each of these pieces back in there. And you want to make sure you do this before you add the hello back in, because we're going to kind of be offsetting the hello, and it'll be a little bit more difficult to add the innards, the guts back in there once you have that second hello placed on top. So just kind of get it in there, press it down nice and well. All right, and this is where tweezers come in handy, especially for little tiny pieces, especially like this. I think even if you have the smallest of hands, it's still much more convenient and easier to use a pair of tweezers to do this. Right, see that one I put a little too much glue, a little glue seeped out, but I just cleaned it up there and it's all good. All right, so now the, oops, this part, and these tweezers are fantastic. If you guys don't have a pair of these, it's kind of like the opposite of a regular pair of tweezers. They are a fabulous invention. Love them. All right. And see, once you have all of these, the guts put back in, it just kind of really flows and just, yeah, flows. What else would I call it? I can't think of how else I would say it, but yeah. And then, so then put this back into the O. A little bit of glue. There we go. And then just the last small piece from the O. And then, oh, a little too much glue on there as well. Like I said, I like to get a little heavy-handed sometimes with the glue. There we go. So just kind of press them down, make sure they're all nice and flat and adhered. And again, this should still all, it should still all just lay nice and flush and flat. And yeah, like I love that just as it is, but I love it even more with this. So we're going to just add a little bit more glue to this one. Again, you don't want too much, but you want enough that, and I think I put too much. Enough that your pieces are not going to pop up on you. And I think okay. I think I have. Sometimes if I have too much glue on something, before I put it on my project, I just take like a scrap piece of paper. Let me see here. And I just kind of just lightly press it down on there, just remove any excess glue. And you can see there, just removes the excess before you actually take it to your project. All right, so now for this, what you want to do, you want to place it over top of the ink blended hello, but kind of offset to the right or the left, whichever way you want a bit, so that you see that color. And this is why also you don't want too much glue on this part. Okay, so there we go. And this is where you want to just kind of fiddle around with it a bit and get it exactly where you want it. All right. Yeah, I think had I not dabbed off extra glue on here, it would have kind of been a bit of a hot mess maybe. But yeah, so, and I think, yeah. And once you get it exactly where you want it and you're happy with the placement of it, just kind of go over and just kind of press it down nicely so it's all nice and adhered really well. And yeah, so. I think the first one I kind of had it down a bit. Oh, it's starting to dry on me. I don't want to move it around too much. So there we go. That is that one. So the first one, actually, sorry. So to finish it, once you get all that on there, just going to add a few little gems to it, sequins, whatever you got. If you don't want to add any, don't feel like you have to. But for me, I always have to have sequins or pearls or I think I've even managed to add them onto masculine cards before, but I always have to have that little bit of a little something extra on it. So I just add 3 little gems. I put a little bit of glue off to the side of my work surface. I grab some tweezers and I always put them in odd numbers. So I usually do like 3 or 5 or 7. Usually 5 is my maximum because, well, I can't bear to put 7 is just too many for me. I can't part with that many all at once. So I'm going to put 3 in different sizes on it. So I just grabbed my gems. I have a little bit of glue just off to the side of my work surface here. And I just dab it in, and then I just place it on there. Now I always find sequin placement or the gem placement is one of the hardest things, even more so than actually coming up with the design and making the card. I can never decide where I want to place them. Oh my goodness. I think sometimes I should just close my eyes and just drop them, and where they fall is where they go. But I don't know if I'd be able to do that. All right. Oops, it doesn't want to come off. There we go. And that is that. So just 3 kind of just off to the side there. And that is it for that one. So yeah, so I'm just going to put these back in just on a little dish so I don't drop the pearls everywhere. And then I will put them back in their container later. All right, so that's that. Nice and simple and classic and elegant with the black and white, but you do have that pop of color. So just comparing it to my original one, the original was a little slightly darker ink blending that I did, but you still the exact same kind of feel and look to it. And yeah. So that is those 2. Anybody have any questions? Oh, sorry, Pam. Okay. I will try to slow down. Was that okay, or did I go too fast for everybody there?
You were a little fast when we were gluing.
Okay, my apologies.
And that might have been partially my fault because I didn't check the glue bottle and it was backed up and I was frantically trying to unclog it.
Oh, I hate when that happens. I will definitely make sure I slow down a bit. Anybody have any questions or anything on that so far? I'm just kind of poking at the insides of my hello die right now, getting rid of it all. So now you can, when I had first originally came up with the idea of this, I had thought of maybe doing like a different colors of the ink blended hello behind it, kind of like having 3 different colors behind it. But I didn't follow through on that to see what it would actually look like. But I think that would actually look pretty cool as well. So you could do multiple colors and your hello would just kind of be more offset to the right, the more ink blended hellos you have behind it. But I think multiple colors would actually be kind of cool for that. Yeah, so I think I will have to try that sometime and see what that looks like. Yeah, so that one's nice and simple, just very simple ink blending with that one, and die cutting and using both the positive and the negative pieces. So you don't really waste a whole lot except for just the one from the ink blended. But like I said, you can hold on to this and use this for another project as well if you wanted. Yeah. That would be kind of cool too. And if you were to do that, you would definitely want to just make sure you hold on to the insides of the ink blended hello as well. But yeah, you could even use that for something. Waste not, want not. I think that's the saying, isn't it? All right, so that I'm going to just kind of set to the side there. And so those are the first one that we did. I'm going to have to try and clean that off later. All right, anybody have any questions or anything before we move on to the next one? Thank you, Saskia. All right, so for the next one, we are going to do the ink blended rainbow one. Now for this, you want to make sure that you choose, because we're only going to be using 3 different colors to achieve the rainbow ink blending. You want to make sure that you're using colors that are complementary to each other. Now you can if you have a color wheel on hand, you can turn to this. Now, I'll admit, I always have this hanging up in front of me on my pegboard, and I hardly ever think to turn to it to use it, but I really should. But this is a wonderful tool to have, and it is a really inexpensive one as well. I think this cost me like $3 or something like that. But if you're ever not quite sure about complementary colors, what colors will go together, just kind of turn to this. And but yeah, for example, like a red will always, oh, let me use this side of it. You want to use kind of like if you're going to use 3 colors in a triangle. So you have your blue, green, your red or violets, your yellows or your yellow, orange. But you just want to make sure you don't blend together like a yellow and a green right beside each other, because then you might kind of end up with like a muddy kind of color. So always colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. I hope I'm explaining that. All right. I'm not professional with the color wheel, but that I do know you want to make sure that you use colors that are not right directly beside each other for them to complement each other. So, and as well, even if you don't have a color wheel, you can always turn to the internet. There's tons of them on there and references and oh my goodness, I'm forgetting my words here. So much information, references that you can turn to on there to help you if you don't have one of those. And it's a great tool to use, whether it be the World Wide Web version or a physical one. So for this, we are going to use, so from the same color family that I took the purple wine from before, we're going to use Fresh Lemon, Aqualicious. Now you can use any colors you want. These are just the colors that I chose for this, and Puffy Heart. So we are going to use those 3 colors. And if you turn to the color wheel, actually, you can see that you have your, it would be like a blue, green, the Aqualicious would be, your Fresh Lemon is here, and then your Puffy Heart would be your red violet. So none of them are right directly beside each other, and it's kind of like in a triangle. So they're all opposite each other. So you know they will complement and go together well when they're ink blended. Any questions so far on this?
Nope.
All right. So for this one, you're going to want to take for the top part, a piece of paper, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And we're going to trim it down later once we do the ink blending and the stamping. But I always start with that size first. So just in case your edges with the ink blending isn't perfect, you can trim it off and nobody will be the wiser. All right. So where I put my piece of paper. Okay. So I'm just going to trim this down because I forgot to cut them earlier. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And actually, I'm just going to cut a second one for the last part while I am thinking of this.
Michelle, Claudia had a message saying those are not the colors you listed on the material list.
Oh, I probably just use, it's the exact same color families. I probably just grabbed a different one in it. So I probably listed on it possibly these ones: Maple Yellow, Teal Cave.
Those are it.
Yes, but it's the exact same color, the 3 color families that I'm using. The 3 yeah. But yeah, so I listed the other ones on there. Actually, yes, I will use those one then. So Maple Yellow, Teal Cave, and Purple Wine. There we go.
And then back.
It's fine.
There.
I just wondered if it would make a difference.
No, if it is a little bit different, absolutely let me know. So those are what we're going to be doing. But like I said, the exact same color family. So those ones there.
Okay.
There we go. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 is what you want to start with here. Okay. And so for this, we are going to start off with the ink blending. Just because you don't, if you do your stamping, you don't want to possibly smudge the stamped images. So always start with your ink blending for this one. And for this, you can, to mask it off. So I used a masking tape because you want to make sure you get nice, crisp edges with your ink blending and it's only concentrated here. You don't want it anywhere else. So for this, I used just like a Post-it masking tape. You can also, I've also used just Post-it notes before. Also masking paper I have. So whatever you have, because yeah, even with Post-it notes, you can just mask off exactly where you want and just line up your next one there and you'll be good to go. But I think I'm going to be out of my Post-it masking tape soon, so I will have to get some more. So, and for this, I'm actually going to use this work surface underneath because it has the straight lines. I can measure exactly and make sure my masked area, I keep it nice and straight. So just rip off a piece of tape or paper or Post-its that are going to be longer than the 5.5, because we are doing it portrait, yes, portrait orientation with this. So, and I actually put this in at the 1/2 inch. So I just line it up with my, or you can even, if you don't have a work surface with the grid lines like that, you can always just use a ruler as well. And yeah, a ruler works perfectly fine as well if you don't have a work surface like that. So anything will work. So I just line it up with some of the lines and then I just take my tape and I'm going to line it up exactly with the, because each of these, the distance between these bold lines here I have is 1 inch. And I'm going to put it first at the 1/2 inch. So just from the outer edge of the card into the 1/2 inch mark, but I'm going to just hold this down so it doesn't move on me like it just did. There. So line this up at the 1/2 inch mark from the left side in. And having that overhang as well with your masking tape or whatever you're going to use is going to help hold your cardstock down as well, so it won't move on you while you're doing your ink blending. And so the distance I have this at 1 inch. So for your next piece of tape, masking tape, Post-its, whatever you're going to use, just line it up at the 1 inch mark, which would be on here, 4 of these 1/4 lines. And we're just going to line it up, make sure it's nice and straight, or as straight as you can get it. And then there we go. And you can also cover up the right side of your cardstock here as well, just in case you get a little crazy sometimes, like I do sometimes with my ink blending. But if you can just leave it as is and just make sure you don't go too outside the lines, I guess you would call it. With your ink blending, you don't have to worry about protecting the rest of your paper here. So the first color that we are going to use, we are going to go in with the yellow and then the purple wine and then the blue, because when you blend the yellow with the purple wine, it is going to form your orange color. And then when you blend the purple wine with the teal, it is going to create your purple color there. So you will have the nice rainbow blended background. All right. So just start blending whatever you use and just start off the paper a bit and just go in, and you want to make sure you just kind of go down 1/3 of the way and just start blending. Again, just try to start off the paper and then go onto it, just so you don't have that harsh telltale mark where your ink blending tool was. And there we go. I think that's about 1/3 of the way. And you can go as heavy or light-handed as you want, add as much or as little of the ink as you want to. If you want to be nice and bright, then keep on adding more ink. If you want a nice soft look to it, then just go nice and lightly with it. Nice and yeah. So I went nice little bright there. And that is it for that. But you want to make sure that you hold on to these because you're just going to kind of go back over it a bit, just kind of blend the two colors together really nicely. And so for the next one, we are going to go in with the purple wine. And for this, the way we're going to do this, we're going to start off the side of it because we can't come from the top or else you'll be covering all of this yellow ink and you don't want to do that. You want to keep the yellow yellow, but you want them to blend together nicely so you do form that, the orangish kind of color that you see there. So you get your ink on your blending tool and you just start off and just kind of come in a bit. And see how you have that line in between the two? You're going to want to go back over it with each blending brush just to blend them together. You say you get a nice soft fade and transition into the other color. So just start off and just kind of come down. And you probably will pick up a little bit of the one color, like the purple, onto your yellow because it's a lighter color, but it's not that big a deal. Just kind of go over and blend them together. Just kind of softens it up a bit. But I'm not going to put any more ink onto this brush because I probably still have quite a bit. I'm just going to kind of just keep bringing it in and just very lightly.
Can you tell me the color you had up before the purple wine? You had other colors up because those were the ones
Yes.
I had chosen.
Yep, I had the Puffy Heart.
Thank you.
Yep, Aqualicious and Fresh Lemon is what I originally had. So it's just the one tone lighter than these ones that I'm using here.
The heck?
Yeah. So yeah, so you just take any ink that you have left on this without adding more ink onto it and just kind of just carry it on up into that yellow a bit. Just to kind of soften that. And again, just bring that down without loading any more ink onto your brush at all. Just so you're starting to get that nice soft fade a bit there. Just bring it on up there and you can see you're starting to get like that orange forming there in the middle. Once the two colors blend together. There we go. And then just a little bit more. And again, without adding any more ink to your brushes, you're just using what is left on them and just moving any ink that may still be on the paper a little bit wet. Yeah. So you kind of have that in between. All right, so once that is all right, you want to go in with your Teal Cave, or if you're using Aqualicious or another blue color, that's where you want to go in with this one. So again, we're just going to do the exact same. Add some ink and just start off the cardstock. Oh. I'm just going to put that down so I don't. There. I kind of lift it up a bit and I don't want to get any ink off of the edge. So yeah, so just off the page, just start blending up. That's wanting to not stick so well. So yeah, so just start blending. A little bit more ink on there. And you can see already once those two are blending together, you get that nice purple already. So I'm going to start off the side of it and just kind of go in there. All right. And then I'm just going to take the previous brush and just kind of go down and blend the two together. And I absolutely love I love masking, especially when ink blending, because when you peel off the masking, I think it's just so satisfying seeing that nice, crisp, clean image, that ink blending against the nice white. I love it. When you mask something off and then it's kind of like that peel and reveal. It is just so satisfying to see. Yeah. So then I just go back in with each brush and just kind of any excess ink that is still on your brush, you're just kind of blending that in there, blending those colors. And then once you're happy with it, you can just leave it as is. See, it may kind of look a bit like a hot mess right now, but once, because even if you do have some of the blended edges that aren't so perfect, once we do the stamping, it will kind of hide it a little bit maybe. So once you have your ink blending done and you're happy with it, it's how you want it, you can just peel off your, I don't know why those didn't stick very well. You can peel off your masks. And you can even hold on to them for another time as well if you want. And oh, I love that. That nice crisp clean edge is just, oh, love it. And you can see down here at the bottom where my masking tape did move on me a bit. I have a little bit of the ink blending that got off the edge. Don't mind my nail polish. It's the gel polish that I have and it peeled off that nail. So ignore that one, please. But you can see it kind of bled the edges there. But like I said, we're going to trim that little bit off so you won't even see it. So that is the ink blended rainbow that we have there. It's a little bit more vibrant than my first one that I did, but love it there. So once you have that done, you can trim your edges. So right now your paper measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and you want to trim it so that it measures you want to do it so it measures, sorry, 4 by 5 1/4. So just like 1/8 of an inch on all 4 sides. I do it so it's evenly trimmed down on all sides, but you could just trim it down 1/4 of an inch on either the top and the bottom or the left or the right. But I like to do it nice and evenly on all 4 sides. So. Because the Altenew inks are dye ink, they're not like a distress ink where it's still going to be wet after a while. So you don't have to worry about, it's pretty much dry fairly quickly. So you don't have to worry about possibly smudging the ink at all when you use a trimmer or whatnot. So as you can see now, the bottom is nice and cleaned up there. So you don't see that little bit of ink that got away there. I just love, like I said before, I love these crisp, clean edges, the bright, vibrant inks against the crisp white background. Masking is probably one of my favorite things to do with ink blending. All right, how's everybody doing so far?
Good.
Good. Any questions at all so far, or? Sorry, excuse me there. All right. So for the next step is when we're going to be doing our stamping, and we are going to be using the Persian motifs set here. It's a bit of an older stamp set, but I love the look of these. Oh, thank you. I had some magnets that fell on the floor, but I love just the look of these of the florals, and I absolutely love this. Oh, probably one of the first sets I ever got from Altenew. Actually, this one is. All right, so we're going to put those inks to the side there. To kind of keep my work surface. I will admit, I'm not a very tidy person when I craft. It sometimes, well, quite often looks like a bomb went off. So I have to try and keep it somewhat tidy as I go along, or else it's not great. So we're just going to put this into the stamp position, but you don't want it flush up against the, there we go, get rid of that glare. Up against the top and the bottom, because you are going to have some of the, that's the wrong one, sorry. you are gonna have some of them possibly coming off the top and the bottom. So you just wanna kind of put it in the middle, but I always put a little bit of washi tape on the back of it, just in case my magnets move or whatnot. The washi tape just helps to hold it in place, just gives me that little extra reassurance that it's not going to move on me. So I just take a little bit of washi tape and just kind of take a little bit of the stick off. I just put it on my pants or on my shirt for maybe 5-6 seconds, and it removes some of the stick from it, just so you try and avoid having it rip the back of your paper when you take the washi tape off. So I just kind of put it in the middle and just put it into my stamp positioner, add my magnets. There we go. So, and then I use just the 2 big florals, one coming from the top, one coming from the bottom. And so you see there's the 2 big, these are the 2 that I used here, but there's this one here, which is really nice as well. But I used to use those 2. And so as you can see, some of the floral does hang off the bottom. That's why I didn't put it flush up against the bottom of the stamp positioner. So there we go. So there's that. And then you're just going to take the other one, just like that, kind of going in the same direction they do, which is kind of nice. And there we go. Just kind of position them wherever you would like. And then once you're happy, just pick them up. See, they did stick to my paper, so that washi tape underneath it just helped the cardstock to stick down to avoid it moving around on me a bit. So just take your, oh my goodness, got to put something under there to avoid. There we go. Oh, it still does a bit. There we go. So just ink up your images. All right. Then just go in, nice even pressure where you're going to give it. And there we go. And there we go. I am going to just go in once more, even though I do have a nice clean impression. I'm just going to go once more just to make it a little bit darker. And this is where the stamp positioner comes in really handy. You can go back in and stamp your image once more, and it will stamp it exactly where it did the first time. So just for a slightly darker impression. Oh my goodness, I forgot what we meant to do before taking off the masking tape. I skipped a step. I'm sorry, guys. All right, so there we go. So we have it stamped twice, and just a nice darker black impression is what we have there. But what we forgot to do is the little black splatters. And I think that's something, it's like a card is not complete without some paint splatters. So we're going to actually go back, as long as you haven't, my apologies, I meant to do this before we removed the masking tape. As long as you still have that masking tape, I'm going to just leave that in there for now, and I'll clean that up later. But as long as you still have your masking tape, just go back in. Let me get my masking tape. I stuck it onto a little thing in front of me. All right, so you just want to line it up again with your ink blending, just the edges of it. And all right, so now I love adding some mainly black black splatters to all of my backgrounds. I used to do it all the time just with like a black watercolor, but I found the black watercolor, it kind of faded and it didn't really stay a true black. But then I found this in some paints that my husband has that he gave me to use. It says ivory black, I'm not quite sure what ivory black means, but it's a black, but it's a gouache. And it stays nice and black. I also have a white, and the white, it's not really a see-through. It's a nice true black, true white. So with this, I just put a little bit on, just like an acrylic stamping block I have. You can see that there. And I just add a little bit of water to it. Whoops. And then I just mix it with paintbrush. And I've recently moved to using a fan brush to do paint splatters. I used to use just like a really fine tip paintbrush, kind of like this. Those work really nice too, but I kind of like, you get nice, I do like the uneven, like the bigger and the larger splatters that you do get just with like a paintbrush. But with the fan one as well, you just gotta get a nice small splatters. And to do the paint splatters, you want to make sure that you fully protect the other side of your cardstock, or you will get the paint splatters all over it. And we do want to keep the rest of it all nice and crisp and white. So just cover it up the rest of it. If you do have a paint splatter box, you can do it in that. I do have one of those, but I'm not going to worry about it for this. So for this, I just load up a little bit of the gouache on my paintbrush and just kind of just lightly tap it over there. You can add as little or as much as you want. And that's it for that. So you can remove that, but it is wet. So you do just kind of want to just make sure you don't smudge it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the tape on it for now. You peel it off and just set it to the side just so that can all dry. Because if I remove the tape now, knowing me, I will smudge those paint splatters. So we're just going to let it dry off to the side for now, like that. How's everybody doing so far? Am I going at an okay pace, not too fast or anything now?
I think so.
Okay, because I'm always told that I get told sometimes I talk too fast. So I just had a little bit of paint, black paint on my hand. I just want to clean it off before I get it on anything else. So, and the good thing actually with the gouache as well, one of the good things with it is you can just kind of let it dry. This is another one that I use sometimes, even that looks wet, but it's not. You can just let it dry. So you're not wasting any of it. You can just kind of bring it back to life with a little bit of water and just kind of mix it up again. And you can use this, here, I'll grab a piece of paper, and you can just use this over and over and over again. So you're not wasting any of this at all, which is really great with the gouache. That's one thing that I love about it, that you can just let it dry on there and just bring it back to life with a little bit of water and you're good to go. So you don't waste any of it at all. So a little bit of that I find goes a really long way. So that is, I love using gouache for paint splatters now. Watercolor works really great too, but I love that now instead. It stays a nice true black, which is great.
Altenew has an ink spray I just used, and it made a mess though. So I used that, but it was quicker, but it was messier.
Okay, so let's.
I hadn't thought of using that.
Well, yeah, sometimes, well, messy sometimes is good.
Yeah, I'm leaving it. I'm like, I'm settling in on it. It's not bad. It just gave me bigger splatters.
Well, you know what? Sometimes I think sometimes the uneven size of splatters is good, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with it.
Absolutely. All right. So now to finish this, we are going to do our, let me get that glare from the light out of the way there. There we go. We are going to do our ink blending, excuse me, our heat embossing for the sentiment here. So for the congratulations, I used the exact same set from the Persian motives. It's a nice, really just a simple typewriter kind of font, I guess, if that's what you call it, I don't know. But there's some nice ones. Happy birthday, congratulations, you're incredible. and it's a special day. And any of those would work really well for this. Not quite sure where my "You Are Incredible" went to. Who knows? But I'm gonna use the congratulations. You're more than welcome to use any one that you would want, that you think you would need or want to use. So I'm going to grab a piece of black cardstock. And for this, I just have a little scrap here. And for heat embossing, I am going to grab my stamp positioner again. Set that to the side. Grab these stamps out that I left in there before. I'm just going to give them a quick wipe down. Now, the only time I don't usually clean off my stamps is when I actually do heat embossing. I leave the ink left on it because I find that for some reason the embossing ink, it helps for the next time, for example, if you stamp it in a black ink, it just helps the ink grab on even more to the stamp. So the embossing ink is the only time that I do not clean off my ink. Just helps to kind of season the stamp even more, I think. Yeah. All right, so those go back in there. We're going to grab the congratulations, and I'm just going to kind of just line it up with the lines in here. Oh my goodness. Oh, I know why. Because I had this down before. Oh, that glare is awful. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to kind of just try and line up the congratulations with the grid lines in here. If it's not perfectly lined up, it's not a big deal because we can always trim it straight when we cut it down. All right, so pick that up. And now for the black cardstock, because we're going to be doing heat embossing, I use a little bit of the anti-static powder. And actually for black, I use quite a bit because getting those little bits of white embossing powder on black cardstock can really be a pain. So yeah. So I just cover that black cardstock nicely with it. You can kind of see how much I have on it, but we can just wipe it down afterwards and get rid of all of the excess. So not to worry with the black cardstock. Oh my goodness, my ink pad. I had it out here before. Ah, there it is. All right. So just go in with your embossing ink and just ink up your stamp there. And with this, actually, it'll be really easy to see if you have a nice, crisp stamped image, because you'll be able to see the embossing powder is kind of lifted up. So you'll be able to see if you need to stamp it again or not. And for little small sentiments, I don't go in with my ink, my stamp tool, because, well, I can just do it with my, so you can see there that I got a nice impression there. So I don't need to go back in a second time with my stamp. And just while it's wet still, the ink, I'm going to go in with my powder, tap off any excess, and there we go. Now, if you do get any little stray pieces of powder, just go in with just a paintbrush and just kind of clean it up wherever you may have little bits. And I think I am pretty good there. There we go. So set that to the side, close up this, or else I quite often knock my embossing powder containers everywhere with the lids off. And then I have a huge mess of embossing powder, and that is the worst, trying to clean that up. All right, so now for your embossing tool, you want to make sure that you get it nice and heated up well before you go to your paper with it, just to try and avoid as much warping of the paper as possible. So I normally let it heat up for about 20-25 seconds beforehand, and then it's usually good. So. There you go. And when you do take your heating tool to your paper, just kind of keep it moving all around so you aren't adding more heat to one area than another, because that will help to prevent any possible warping of your paper as well. So there we go. So it is all, oh, and as you can see, I have one little speck there, but you can kind of scrape that away, or even just leave it there. Not a big deal. So it's all heat embossed. So I'm just going to take my towel and go over it. And if you find that it's still a little bit gray, sometimes what I do, I just go in very lightly with a very ever so lightly damp cloth, and I just kind of just go back over it. Just enough so that'll clean it up, but not enough that it will warp your paper because it's wet. And there we go. And I got a little bit of a stray little piece of fleck of embossing powder just to the right of the S there, but there we go. So once you have that all done, I'm just gonna trim that down as close. I'm actually going to use, I have this paper trimmer here that I like to use sometimes to get nice, precise, even cuts, because in it here, it has, I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. It has a wire there right in the middle. So, and that wire will show you exactly where that blade is going to cut. So you can line it up really nicely, exactly where you want it, which is always good to be able to see exactly where your blade is going to cut. And then I just move it up a little bit. And sometimes when it's such a smaller piece as well, just to kind of get the cardstock to not move around, I take a little bit of a washi tape as well. And I just kind of stick it down on the one side of and that's exactly where I want it. So it just kind of holds it in place when you have such a small piece width-wise. And then there we go. Actually, I can even just trim off that little white speck that was at the end there, because I like to trim, I'm trimming it nice and close. So I just trim that away. And then on the other side. And then there you go. I think it's evenly. All right, so let's put all these to the side. So now the paint splatters that should be all dry by now. Is just kind of give it, yeah, you can see, because when it's wet, it'll still be shiny a bit, but they're all kind of matte and all dried there now. And as you can see, the black splatters, they stay within the ink blended area there. You can see I have one little that's right on the edge, only because I didn't line my masking tape up perfectly, but I'm not going to worry about that. But they're all pretty much within the ink blended strip there that we did. And so now we are going to add this to our A2 card base. Again, A2 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. You can do top folding, side folding, whatever is your preference, or just whatever you have on hand and want to use. Go right ahead. It doesn't matter. And so for this, we're going to pop it up using some craft foam. And this just kind of, it's just nice and lightweight, so it doesn't add a whole lot of bulk or heaviness to your card. Yeah, and it covers the whole entire back of it. I actually have to trim this down. So because we do want to hide it, I'm going to trim it down a little bit smaller than this piece here. So I don't know why I keep putting that away. So because this trim piece is 4 by 5 1/4, I'm going to trim it so it's 3.75 by 5. So it will still cover pretty much the whole entire cardstock, but it won't be hanging off the edges or anything. I'm going to put that up the side there. And so you can use liquid adhesive, tape, whatever you want to use to adhere those together. Sometimes with the craft foam, I find you you want to use a nice strong adhesive because some glues or tapes, they don't always want to stick that well to the craft foam if you do use that. So a nice strong glue or tape works really well for it. So just add it to that piece. And then we are just going to add a little bit more to the back of here to go on our card base. There we go. All right, so grab the card base and just kind of center it on as well as you can. Sometimes I get up and I just stand above it so I can see it from above and make sure that it is centered on there nicely. And then sometimes I just grab something a little bit heavier just to add a little bit of weight, just so it sticks for a moment. So I'm just going to add my die cutting platform to it off to the side. And so now for our sentiment, we are going to pop that up for, pop it up with some little foam dots, squares, whatever you want to use. And because this is black, I like to use, you can use white, but I like to use a black foam adhesive just to kind of hide the black from the black underneath it. So I just add a few behind it. Or you can even just glue it directly to your card base. You can add it on however you want to. So there we go. These are just a little bit of dimension that adds to it. And then just to give that another 5-6 seconds to stick well, we are going to, for this one, I use just some clear sequins for this. So I am just going to grab those to add to it. So I only took out the black ones at first. There we go. All right. So my white ones are, there we go. And again, for this one, I actually used 7. Oh my goodness. I think I used 6 on this. So it's an even amount, but the way I place them, oh my goodness. So I'll just grab a few little sequins in a little dish because they're all different sizes. So that should be good now. Going to add on the sentiment. Is everyone doing okay so far? Questions or anything? All right. So for this, I usually use the ruler to make sure that I get my sentiments nice and straight. So I use a T ruler for this. So I just line the T part up, I guess if you want to call that, just with the edge of my cardstock. And then I go back in with my tweezers. Oh, excuse me. Magnet stuck to my tweezers there. And so I just go in with my tweezers just so I can place it really nicely. It kind of frees up your hands and just place a sentiment anywhere that you want to. I'm going to put it where I had it before, which is just kind of in the middle of those two flowers. So just a bit right there. So I just make sure that it's lined up nicely with my ruler. I think I got it a little, there we go. And there we go. So just make sure the edge of it lines up with the edge of your ruler, and you should always be straight with your sentiments. Yeah. And then, so I'm just going to grab, I'm not going to put as many sequins on this time, but I'm just going to grab a few different sizes in them. I'm just going to put on 3, I think, this time. There we go. So I have a large, a small, and a medium here. And again, just a little bit of glue on my work surface. And because this is a glass work surface, I can easily remove any glue that's on here later, or even if it's dried off, it'll come off easily. I'm actually going to add 5 sequins actually. And The small one, okay. Just a little bit of glue I add to it, and I'm just kind of mirror what I did before. There we go. Oh, where's my little one? There we go. And then and the last one, it would normally take me much longer to figure out where I want these sequins, but I'm kind of cheating and going by where I put the original ones. Actually, I'm going to put 6 on here. And there we go. Just a little bit of glue is all that's needed. And there we go. That is it for that one. Put those back in there because I always knock over these and get them everywhere. And then my cats play with them and then possibly eat sequins, and that's not good. And then there we go. So that is that one there. And after a while, also kind of your ink blending, the colors will kind of, it'll even out a little bit as well. So even if you didn't have some edges that were perfectly blended together, as it evens out, it ends up looking absolutely beautiful. So you can see where I first did the yellow and then the purpley pink in the middle. Once those two blended together, it formed that orange. And then down here where I have the teal, where it met and blended together with the purpley red, it formed that really nice purple. So that's how you can achieve a rainbow ink blending using only 3 colors. So like I said, you don't need every single ink color to achieve different colors. Just as long as you're using colors that complement each other and that will blend together nicely, you can get lots of other different colors. And I love how these colors blend together. They blend beautifully. And that is that card. Thank you very much, Saskia. I think this is probably my favorite one out of the 3, only because it's the masking, and I love the crisp, clean edges that you get from that vibrant, bright ink blending against the crispness of the white. I love this. So this is probably my favorite out of the 3 cards. I do love them all, but yeah, it's just that masking. It just kind of, yeah, love it every single time. So does anybody have any questions or anything so far? Do you want me to go back over anything, or how are we all doing?
I'll just give a time update. We're about an hour and a half into the workshop. So just to let you know where we are.
Holy
Wow, time goes by
wow.
fast. All right, so then we will move on to our last one. So for this one, you want to take, we are going to be using our exotic garden stamp set for this one that we used for the first card. You want to cut a piece of white cardstock to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Let me get my cardstock that I have here and just trim that down because I didn't trim it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Actually, yeah. All right, so there we go. So for this, you want to, again, just stamp the floral image. Where did I put my, oh my goodness, I've lost my, oh my word. Where did I put it? Oh no, I've lost my, how can I lose my Misty? Sorry, see, this is why I need to keep my, it's not that messy, I swear, but I have misplaced my Misty stamp positioner. Oh, no, I didn't. I put it in a drawer and closed the drawer. All right, so it's your cardstock. We'll get rid of that, congratulations, and put it back in the container later. So grab your cardstock. And just kind of center it as well as you possibly can in there. And then just ink it up with your black ink. And oh my goodness. I swear sometimes if my head was not attached, I would misplace that because I have misplaced my ink pad. I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to use a different one for now. So just ink it up with your black. There we go. And because it is a larger image, I do go back in with my pressure tool that I have here, just to kind of make sure I get as much of a crisp impression the first time it is onto the paper. And then there we go. Perfect.
Damn.
All right. So now for this, what you want to do, so I have two different circle dies here, and one is only ever so slightly larger than the other. I'm going to use the small. Now you can use any shape that you want, any shape that you have on hand. I have circles, so I'm going to use that. So I'm going to use the smaller of the two circle die and just kind of cut out any area on your floral image that you want to use that as your spotlight image. So I am going to focus on this rose part here. So I'm just going to put it right there. And I'm going to do that before I color, just so you don't get any ink or any of the coloring from your markers on any other part of the image. You want to keep it only on this die cut part here. So I'm just going to cut that out. Okay. So I'm gonna put this to the side for now and grab the circle and just kind of color that in. I'm not going to do any fancy, or not fancy, or any really involved ink blending or anything. I'm just going to color the image really nice and simple. So I have, you can use any kind of marker that you do have. I have both Copics and I have a few of the Altenew ones here. So I am going to just simply color this in, and you can kind of go, you can look at your image, your stamp if you want as a reference. You can stamp it out a second time to kind of refer to it so you can see exactly where it is. But I'm just going to look at my original, my first one that I have here, just so I can kind of see exactly, because when you, what is what? Because when you have this small die cut piece here, might be a little hard to see what part of the flower is what. So I'm just going to use that as my reference to look at. So just some simple coloring is all I'm going to do. Now it is a smaller image that you're going to be coloring in here. So that's why I'm not going to do any involved blending with 3 different shades, just simple coloring. All right, so yeah, so parts of this is a little hard to see because it is the smaller die cut piece. So I'm just referring to parts on this to make sure that I get it nicely. There we go. And I do color each flower a different color, and even all the leaves are different. Like the leaves for this rose will be different than the leaves on this orange one, just so you can kind of see each flower on its own. So one flower doesn't kind of just blend in with the others. Oh, and I did miss a piece there. There we go. There we go. So yeah, just simple, nothing too involved or fancy coloring or anything. And I did miss a little tiny bit there. All right, and I think I got it all. So there's just 3 leaves on there. Oh, and then I have one here. All right, so there's that one. It's time for this. There we go. And then we're going to do these leaves here. Now you can do the different colors, different for each, like for the greens, you can go in with and do the ink blending if you want, or you can just stick with just the simple coloring with this if you want. You can do however you want to. There we go. I think I colored a little bit of the background bit. So there's that. Then for the leaves on the rose, all right. Oops. All right. Wish I could sing. I would sing a little song here, but you don't want to hear me sing. So I will spare you that. No one needs to hear that. No one. I used to sing all the time when I was younger in the car with my parents, and oh, they hated it. Every single time. Michelle, stop singing. So I will spare you all that. And yeah. Okay. So there's that. And color in this rose. And you want to make sure that you do use, depending on what kind of color medium you use, if you're using, for example, like an alcohol marker, that you do use an alcohol-friendly black ink. That way your image does not smudge when you color it in. That's why the black ink, the Altenew, the jet black that I was using works really nice because it doesn't smudge, but I couldn't find it in the end. I don't know where I put it, so I used a different one. So just make sure that you use for example, with alcohol markers, that you do use a black ink that is going to work with them and not smudge your image. So now this, once you have it all kind of colored in, you can see if you've missed any. And so I have these leaves here that I have missed. So I'm just going to go in with a different green because they are coming from a different flower. And so for this, you can just, once you have all the florals colored in, you can just leave it as is. But I thought that to make it stand out even more, I just colored in the remaining white space, the background, with a gray, because that really helps it to pop even more so on the image. So just take a gray marker and just color in all the white spaces that you do have left, because then
Michelle,
it'll be
Cecile would like to know if Versamark is okay for alcohol markers.
Versamark is not. Versamark is it's an ink that's really good for heat embossing because the ink stays wet. It stays wet longer, so that is really only good for doing watermarking, which would be like a tone on tone look, or heat embossing. Or is it the VersaFine that you're thinking of? If it's the VersaFine as well that you're thinking of, you don't want to use this for alcohol because this is a pigment ink, so it will stay wet as well. That will smudge. So the ones that I do like using, I like using the Altenew ones, and the one I use for this, because I couldn't find the Altenew, I used Memento. That is a good one as well for alcohol markers, but I usually go to the Altenew, the jet black, because that one's really nice. So that's usually my go-to. If not, then I use that Memento as well. But the Versamark you don't want to use for alcohol markers or for other coloring mediums because it is an ink that will stay wet longer. And also, sorry, the Versamark as well, it is a clear ink. So you won't get that black impression. Oh my goodness, it was right beside my Versamark hiding underneath something. So no, the Versamark unfortunately will not work for, excuse me, for alcohol markers. I hope I explained that all right or well, or yeah. So just color in all of the white areas you have for your background. Oh, this one's a little bit darker. And that will really help it pop even more, I found. Oh, I think I might have just colored a leaf gray. Oh, no one will know but me and you guys.
We won't tell.
Okay, thank you. Nobody will know. It's our secret. All right, so just finish coloring all of that white space in. And also coloring the white space in with a gray, I find will kind of camouflage and hide any little areas that you might have possibly gone out of the lines. Because this is such a small one with the die cut on the circle. Such a small space to color in. There we go. And then you can also see if you've possibly missed any areas with any of the colors, you can go back over. So I'm just going to actually brighten up these leaves a tiny bit by going over with the same color family. Actually, no, just with a lighter green, it just kind of make that pop even more. Because I used a darker gray than I did last time. Yeah, there we go. Or it just looks, yeah, looks darker to me than it does on the camera. There we go. And then yeah, you can just get any areas that you might have missed, excuse me, the first go round. And yeah, and if you want, you can add just a little bit of ink blending as well. But there we have that piece all done, just simple coloring for that. And so now you can, if you don't have black cardstock or if you don't have two die cuts that are fairly close in size, you can also just go around the edge of your die cut floral piece with a black marker, and that will help it to stand out as well against that. I do that sometimes when I have like a die cut and I've cut it out or fussy cut it out and I want to hide any of the white edges I might have got. I always go around the edges with a black, like with a black Sharpie or an alcohol marker, and it just kind of just blends the edge in. But I'm going to actually cut out a piece of black cardstock, just a scrap piece that I have here. And with the slightly larger die cut there, and it'll just give me my nice little border that I have here. Just one moment. All right. So there we go. So I have that die cut piece and it is just, I'll grab a white piece of paper to put underneath it so you can see. So it just gives you that nice little black border around it, just enough to make it pop off your card front even more. So we are going to adhere this to the card base, and I'm actually just going to trim it down a tiny bit so we have that quarter inch of a border all around. So just an 1/8 of an inch on all 4 sides, so it's nice and even. All right. There we go. I always like to have a little bit of a border on my card, so I usually always trim down my whether it be a piece like this, an ink blended piece, just a little bit shorter than my card base. So for this, we are going to add our foam to pop it up to the back of it first before we do anything else. And again, this is going to be 3.75 by 5. I cut that by hand. So 3.75 by 5, so it hides nicely behind our panel. There we go. And so we are just going to adhere that directly to the floral stamped panel here. Just with a little bit of glue. There we go. And you are going to get kind of some of that glue through the circle die cut. So if you don't want to get that on anything else, just wipe it up. All right, so then you're going to take the black circle die cut that you have, or the black die cut, and just add a little bit more glue to the back of it, because it is slightly larger than the original die cut piece on the floral. And just center it over top of that, just so you hide that die cut piece. And then you're just going to directly adhere this onto here with some more glue or tape, but you want to make sure that you line up the floral image with the black and white underneath it there. There we go. That is good there. All right. So just, okay. So just make sure you have it centered on your black die cut piece as well as you can, just so you get that tiny little bit of a border there. And there we go. So you have that on there. And then we are just going to adhere that onto our card base. Pop it up there. And then just a little bit more glue on the back. All right. And just center that as good as you can on your card base. All right. And so then to finish this off for the sentiment, what happens when it's kind of like Vegas, right? Carrie, what happens in craft class stays in craft class. All right, so we're just going to do our heat embossed sentiment, but just to kind of get that to stick down a bit, I am going to just place that on top. Don't mind my very well used plate there. And so we're just going to grab some more black, just a scrap piece of cardstock. And now for this one, I use the You Are Incredible, but that one has disappeared from my stamp set. I quite often, I don't know what I do with them. So I'm just going to grab, It's a Special Day right here. And again, just add that to my stamp positioner and just do the exact same thing as before with the heat embossing. Just kind of line it up as good as you can. If it's not perfectly straight, don't worry about it. We can even it out with when we trim it down. Cardstock in there. Prep it really nice with your anti-static powder, because It is a black cardstock and white heat embossing. We want to try and avoid those little pesky stray pieces of white embossing powder. All right. The Versamark. Oh, come on. There we go. So the Versamark, just ink it up there, or whichever heat embossing or embossing ink that you may use.
Sorry.
All right, so there we go. I got a nice image there. Put this off to the side, but it is sticking to my magnetic platform.
Oh, no, no.
Oh no. It doesn't sound good.
No, I put it on my card base upside down.
I do that all the time.
All the time.
Exactly.
All the time.
Yeah. So many times. So you're not alone there.
Thank
So
you.
I just added my white embossing powder, and I'm just going to heat that up now. There we go. So again, just go in with just a very ever so slightly damp cloth and just wipe off once the heat embossing is cool enough, and just wipe off the excess white powder so it goes back to its original nice black color. And then we're going to trim that down. All right. And this, see, I didn't stamp it perfectly straight, but I think it'll be okay as long as I cut it out nice and fairly straight. We'll see. If not, then I'm not going to worry about it too much. It's handmade, like they say, it's handmade, not Hallmark. So, and I think I do have it cut a little bit wonky, but that's all right. Wonky is sometimes good, right? All right. So that should be long enough for that to adhere nicely to it. And so with that, we're just going to pop it up with a few more little foam squares or foam tape, whatever you want to use. If you want to use glue and or tape and just adhere it directly to your cardstock, then go for it. And I think it is cut a little bit. I'm just going to try and even it out with my scissors, because as you can see, it's a little bit, or to my eyes, it's a little bit wider. I think that's okay. All right, and again, pick that up with my tweezers and my ruler to kind of get a nice straight, and just place that on there wherever you, I'm going to put it just kind of on the bottom right-hand side of the circle. So it's just kind of overlapping it a little bit. Line it up with that, and there we go. And so then just to finish it, I am just going to add a few little black pearls, just to kind of frame it a bit, I guess, the sentiment. So one. There we go. Another one here. Ah. Oh, and I lost that one. It's on the floor now for my cats to play with. All right, so that one. there, and then just a small little itty bitty one I want. Small little one. So we have, I keep losing them. My goodness. And just the third little one. I'm going to kind of just put there. And that is that one. All right, so there is the third one. So I love this technique as well. How it just, it really, like it's called, oh, I missed a bit and it's bugging me. The spotlight, I think that's actually part of the leaf. Oh, well. By just kind of zeroing in on this one area, it really brings your eyes to that directly at first, and it does, it spotlights that area, so you can kind of just highlight any part of your image that you want to, if you like one area better, but it really does put a spotlight, as it's called, on that specific area, and that little bit of black border around it really makes it pop even more, I think. Any questions on this one at all? No. All right, so that is the third one. So these are the 3 cards that we made. Let me find, my goodness, oh my goodness. Like I said, sometimes if my head is not attached, I would be losing my head as well. Here we go. So those are the 3 cards that we made. So this one we have the die cutting using both the negative and the positive pieces of the die cut, and just adding that little pop of color peeking out from behind the hello. This one we use the exact same stamp set, but we kind of brought your eyes in and spotlighted that specific area of it by adding in that pop of color to it. And then this one, we did an ink blended rainbow strip for that pop of color just on the black and white stamped image, and the rainbow blending using just 3 different colors, not 5 or 6 or however many. So that is the 3 cards. I do agree. I think this one is my favorite one as well, the ink blended rainbow one. I do love them all, but I will admit this is my favorite too. It's just, yeah, the Christmas of the white against that ink blending is just, it kind of steals my heart.
And rainbow. How can you not love a rainbow?
Well, exactly. A
You know,
rainbow is, it's just everything. It makes you happy. You can't not smile when you see a rainbow. It just brightens up anybody's day, I think. And yeah, rainbow is just happiness.
It's rainbow.
So yeah, I hope you all have enjoyed making them. I hope I didn't go too fast for anybody. Anybody have any questions or want to show anything that you possibly did?
Yep, that's the point that we're at now, that we will come. And if someone would like to share, I'm going to switch to gallery view. If you hold a card up, I will come over. The first card I see is where I go. So if I miss you the first time, I will loop back around. So we're heading over to Claudia right now.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful. You got really nice blend. I love that.
Very pretty.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Love the dimension behind your sentiments too, how you have that popped up. I really, very, very pretty.
I'm all about the dimension too. I love that dimension too.
Dimension is fun.
It is. Yeah.
I saw Carmen
Thank
next,
you.
so we're going to head on over to see what Carmen made today.
Oh, beautiful.
So that one.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful.
And that one.
Oh, very nice. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I had a huge love instead of hello, so that's what I did.
Okay, well, the love works just as well as a hello. I love it.
Yep. The other one I'm still finishing.
Perfect. Can't wait to see it later.
Absolutely gorgeous. And don't forget, if you're on Facebook, you can post them in the Altenew fan group. And if you can tag Michelle so that she can see them. And I saw Cecile next, so I'm going to head on over there to see what she created today.
Oh, beautiful. Very nice.
Hey.
Oh, I love that. And you have that color peeking up from behind too. Love that.
Very, very pretty.
Thank you.
Okay, next I saw Jill. We'll head on over to Jill.
I will put the sentiment on later.
Oh, I love beautiful. Oh, you guys all did yeah, with the ink blending.
This one I don't really think I did very well on, but that's. a
Oh, you did
prototype.
fantastic. I think it looks beautiful.
Give it some
Prototype.
time, sit with it. Look at it again
Exactly,
tomorrow. I think you'll love it tomorrow because
Exactly. So
Tomorrow is a
many,
better day.
yeah.
yes,
So many I don't like at first, and then when I go back and look at them, you're in a different frame of mind sometimes too. But I think it looks great.
and
Well,
sometimes
thank
those
you.
become
This
your
one's my
favorite cards.
Yeah.
And the sentiments I've started sentiments later because sometimes it has a close sentiment, but not quite what I needed. So
Exactly. Yeah. You might not know what you might need the card for at the time when you make it. So
I see one of our Pams, Pam Hall with a card up. So we'll go over there.
beautiful.
You guys work so hard.
Trying to get
You guys
unmuted.
did awesome. Oh, I love
There's
it.
the other one
Oh, beautiful.
and this one.
Love
Oh,
it. You guys
wow.
did
That looks really nice.
awesome. Oh my goodness.
That is a
Thank you.
gorgeous spotlight on that image.
Yeah.
Thank
That is
you.
beautiful. And Tom has been patiently waiting with that card there. So we're going to head on over to Tom.
Oh, I love that, Tom. That looks
Oh,
fantastic.
wow.
Beautiful ink blending.
This is the first time I've ever done it, kids. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh my
Oh, you did
God. You can't
amazing.
say that. You
I've
know
ne-
what
I've-
you're
no,
doing.
no kidding.
here.
I've never, this one you can't see too well.
No, you can. It's
Yeah.
just nice that
It's there.
subtle with that color peeking out from behind. It's yeah.
And this one, I actually messed up the sentiment, so I'm redoing it now.
And
And
that
I've-
yeah.
These are chameleon markers, and I've never used a marker in my life.
You know,
You
I
did
have some of those.
amazing.
Yeah, you
Nice.
have done fantastic, Tom, for never doing this before. I have some of those chameleon markers and I haven't used them very much, but you guys did great. And for
Are
your
you gonna-
first time, Tom,
You got to join us more, Tom. We got more
Absolutely.
crafting to do, my dear friends.
I've been around the block a lot. I usually do Anna Griffin stuff, and I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
Everything is pre-made and you kind of like glue it together and everything. And
Okay.
it's more design than this. And this is a lot simpler than what I'm used to, but it's a lot more complicated because it's a lot more hand. I don't know if you noticed, I kept washing my fingers. I kept going away during this.
all the
I
inky
can't
fingers.
deal
Yeah.
with ink on my fingers. I've got the sanding block in the bathroom. That takes ink. No, it is. It's like a little washing sanding block.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
I'm gonna
fantastic.
contaminate anything. It's all so white.
Oh well, it's
Thanks.
inky fingers get on things all the
No,
time.
I don't mind dirty fingers, but not when I'm playing with white and there's
Yes.
a gun to my head. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
was
the only
just
thing
messing.
with
Thank you all. I had a ball.
Black
Oh,
and white are a
thank you
very
dangerous
much.
combo. It's gorgeous, but it's dangerous because that black
Exactly.
ink goes
Yeah.
everywhere. But yes, Tom, keep your eye out. We have a lot of free workshops here at Altenew. So keep
Yes,
your eye out in the fan
absolutely.
group. We'd love to have you join for more. Okay, let's see. I know I saw, oh, there we go, Pam R. We have like 3 Pams today. Holy Toledo. Oh,
Oh, I love it.
wow.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Oh, they all turned out absolutely fantastic, guys. My goodness.
Oh,
Oh, and I love that.
oh,
Oh, that's
Oh my
beautiful.
God, that's gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous. And see, I love just the classic black and white too. It just, oh, that's beautiful.
And I love yours are like slimline.
Pretty.
And they're landscape. And I love it. I love,
I love
and that just shows
yeah,
the versatility, how you take Michelle's idea
Yeah.
and you go with it.
and make it
That's
your own.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And so now all of you guys are going to have to go make them in slimlines too, because you're going to be
I know.
inspired by seeing all these cards.
Well, they all turned out absolutely beautiful, guys. Thank you so very much.
Okay. And Mira, we
you.
have
Oh.
lots more
Oh.
to show. So,
Oh my God, nice and
Oh,
bright.
pretty.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
beautiful.
gorgeous.
very
And
pretty.
then, well, I didn't
Nice
make
and
the last
vibrant.
card, but I was trying to do the rainbow thing.
Oh, I love
Oh,
that's
awesome.
Wow.
that. Oh, you can see the 3
Ooh.
different colors that you have there. I love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
and then
gorgeous.
I did that one as well.
Gorgeous.
Oh, I
Very
love it on the
nice.
black.
Yeah.
And this one I can't read properly. I don't know whether it's my eyes.
No, you can see the love.
Said
Yep.
love.
Yep.
And some, remember, it's hard to see some of them on camera. Some of
Yeah.
them, the video that we
Right.
have is it's a little difficult to see. So sometimes taking a picture or when you see it in person, it looks a lot different. So keep that
Exactly.
in mind as well. Anissa,
First
oh,
one.
Oh, I love that.
Pretty.
Oh, love that
And
one.
a
Oh,
little
cool.
smaller, so I went
Love
with
And I
it.
love, yeah.
I confess I skipped the ink blending on this one. I used a pink matte.
Well, I love that background that you have peeking out. I love that too.
Nice.
It kind of just it brings in the ink pink from behind the hello even more. I love it.
Right, that's what I thought, because my hello die is not the mega, it's a very small one.
Right.
that's
Well,
one of my
it
faves
works,
though. It's
It
a great,
works.
it's an oldie but a goodie. It's a nice one.
And this is my other one. I haven't stuck the sentiment on yet.
Beautiful.
Nice.
That's
Love
pretty.
it. And I do. I love it on that black card base too.
I know. I
Thank
was just
you.
gonna
It's
say
actually
that.
a sparkly washi tape. So
Yeah.
I don't think you're picking
Oh,
it
it
up
is
in the video,
sparkly.
but yeah, this is all sparkle.
Oh, I
Very
love
nice.
it.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I thought it was really eye-catching. And
Love
I
that
didn't,
sparkle.
I didn't make it to the third card, sorry.
Oh,
That's
that's
okay.
okay.
Took
That's
me a
all
while
right.
to
You
get washi
post it in
tape
the
on
fan
here.
group and tag Michelle
Yeah,
so she
you
can
do it
see
at your
your
own pace
creation.
and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is great, Michelle. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed. I
I
love
see.
seeing all your beautiful creations. Oh, I love that butterfly.
I see
Oh,
Dira
that's
over
pretty.
here.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Pretty.
Love that.
Pretty.
Absolutely gorgeous.
If you kind of look real close up at the butterfly wings, there's some inky marks up there. I had to cover with some white pen.
Oh, okay.
We won't tell.
Can't see him on
Exactly.
camera for
You know
What
what?
sure.
You
happens
wouldn't
here
have been able
stays
to tell.
here.
Yeah,
Nobody will say a thing.
No,
Exactly.
yes, we keep crafty secrets. That's the one condition that we all have in these groups.
exactly. What state the,
Oh,
yeah.
it's all just right up in there.
It's hard,
Okay.
and you're going to be your toughest critic because you know it's there, but
Yep.
nobody
Yeah.
else is
Always,
going to know.
yeah.
Aren't we always?
Yeah.
Put sequins on it.
Yeah, I
Yep.
could.
Just
Thanks.
cover it with sequins.
Thank you.
Sequence to the rescue every time.
Very, very pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, I know my Saskia. I see my Saskia with a card.
Love that.
Oh, love that. Hello.
Nice.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Which stamp set was that one, by the way?
Very pretty.
Oh, pretty
In the
Saskia.
In the woodlands.
Woodlands.
In the woodlands.
Yes, and this is from the heart.
Oh, that's
Oh.
beautiful. I love that.
Gorgeous.
Pretty.
And this is in the woodland again.
Oh,
I
pretty.
love how nice and
Nice.
Oh,
right
like
there.
that.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And that
I
shows
think
you all
that's
as well.
excellent
You
now.
don't have to have the same exact supplies
Mhm.
that Michelle used. You can substitute stamp sets and get such a similar look, but it really expands all the sets you own. You can apply this to any set and you're going to get
Yeah.
a little bit of a different look each time. And then we've also seen, thank you to all the people that put it on black. You know, just changing that background paper, huge. So, you know,
It does.
Michelle gave us kind of the idea and you guys are running with it, man. And you guys are knocking it out.
Yeah, everyone kind of makes it their own. And I love that. Yeah, yeah.
And my Pam.
I just used black.
Hey, nothing's wrong with that at all. Nice
like
black and
it.
white.
You have a nice
like it.
monochromatic.
Monochromatic.
Love.
Yeah,
Love that.
looks nice, Pam.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Haven't put the sentiment on this yet.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh, I love it with the black background to
And
the
you-
flowers.
You just rock that. I
Good
know
idea.
you after Yana. I know you are so inspired by Yana
Yep.
on that and you do
Gotta
it
do
so
that.
well.
This is
Oh.
really fun. I love this.
What set
Very
was that,
nice.
Pam?
That's the one we were exotic garden.
Yeah, the
Mm,
exotic
that's
garden.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Really,
And because the
Great.
exotic garden, it's some of the flowers are a little smaller, a little more detailed. If you are possibly a little intimidated by coloring them in, just doing that ink blending just adds that bit of color without having to color the actual flowers in as well. So
It's a great technique. Thank you.
yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
Now,
It is, Michelle. This technique can be used for any occasion.
It really can. I've done it
It's
so many
awesome.
times with butterflies and anything. You can even do it, make it a masculine card. It just change up the colors and the images that you use. And
well, we
yeah,
saw today a sympathy card with this.
A sympathy card would be
really,
beautiful for
you know,
that
things
too,
you
yeah.
may not have
Yes, it
thought
would.
of, occasions you really can.
Mhm.
And it's just a color change. That's it. We can do any kind of card. It's just a
Exactly.
color, you know, it's just, and
Yeah.
I think now too, I think funeral or sympathy cards, loss cards, I think we can get away from having just the black or the blue or the gray.
Yeah.
You
So
know, like when
dreary.
pets pass, we have the rainbow bridge. So it's a rainbow. So it's a
Right.
positive spin. So, you know, being able to have that. Yeah, Carmen, you were the, I love that you did a sympathy card. I'm sorry if you had to do one, but I love that you showed us that you could use
Yeah.
these and
Yeah.
do a sympathy card successfully and gorgeously. So
Yeah,
that's
just change up those
absolutely
colors and
wonderful. Did I miss anybody? I don't ever want to miss anybody, and I feel horrible if I do. So I don't sleep at night, and I have to start an externship tomorrow. So I got to sleep good tonight, guys.
Oh,
So
no.
I got to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
My friends.
No.
All right. Well, then I'm going to come over and I will say thank you so much to Michelle for a wonderful, in my part of the world, it's afternoon, so I'm going to go with that. So a wonderful afternoon of seeing all this creativity and her first workshop as an educator. That
Wow.
wasn't, you know, like
It
a
was
certification
excellent.
thing. So
Thank
it's a
you.
celebration. So congratulations,
Yes.
Michelle. The
Yay.
first
Thank
of
you.
many are under your belt. You did a fantastic job, and
Yes, she did.
it
Look
shows
forward to
by
it
all the
again.
beautifulness that everybody created today. So you guys, within the week, you guys will get more information on the recording, whether it's going to be YouTube or however Michelle is going to process it. I believe that's where she's leaning towards. So you'll get a follow-up on the recording in case you want to go back and just check a
Yes.
step or check some colors or anything. And I have a feeling you can reach out to Michelle if you have any questions as well. I don't
Absolutely.
usually say that without asking, but I'm taking a leap here that
Yes.
Michelle would be okay with that.
Yeah.
So
You're no
Um,
longer a beginner, Michelle. The heat's
I-
on.
I've lost my beginner status now.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes,
The
you
grace
have moved-
period is over.
You've
Exactly,
moved over
yes.
into the professional now, Michelle. You're
That's it.
going. So yeah, and Tom, we do hope to see you again. I recognize a
Tom.
lot of
Yes,
faces
Tom.
here, but Tom, if you have any questions about workshops, feel free to reach out to Michelle or myself.
Oh, we're good. I'm very,
so-
I had a ball. This was a lot of fun.
We
You
have
did
a good
great.
group.
Slow for me, but a lot of fun. I kept up. I'm amazed.
We have a fun
good.
group. We have a lot of fun, a lot of crafting,
Yes,
a
we
lot of
do.
chatting, and a lot of fun.
I
So
see.
yes. Well, all
I
right,
see.
you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon for another fabulous crafting session. We will see you all soon. So bye, guys.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Michelle
Bye,
and Bridget.
everyone, and thank you,
Bridget.
Bridget.
You're
Michelle.
welcome.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Going to actually